peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is.
It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, "He is our son and he is our thief."
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader,
Yes.
probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth
Yeah.
in the security,
Yes.
governance,
Yes.
and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers,
Yes.
do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa.
The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
Very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Miriam Ogutu. The show is Good Morning Africa, and as usual, we're coming to you from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. A chilling morning, I might add there. Thank you so much for finding time to be with us today. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuned in. And so before I bring in my panelists, I'll just go through quickly, the headlines on the leading newspapers here in Kenya and on the Daily Nation. Uhuru Raila plan handshake tours, rehearsals for 2022 campaigns officially. The visits, which begin in Nyanza, Western Coast and Upper Eastern, are to commission development projects, but the appointments say the leaders will be reinforcing the unity agenda. And just down there, Ruto Maraga retirement parks are targeted, so that is what is there. And then on the Star newspaper, Central at crossroads as divisions widen. That is the main headline. And split could ruin its much taunted tyranny of numbers ahead of 2022 polls. And then just up there, General Kibochi, KDF not ready to leave Somalia. Events in Ethiopia very worrying. All right, so I think that is also something that we shall look at later. And then Kalonzo and Raila in fresh secret talks after NASA divorce, and CS Matiang'i orders herders out of private ranches in Laikipia. And the main pictorial on the Star is a lioness that wandered into city suburb that was captured yesterday. Okay, now that's not even funny, but we know Nairobi was, I think, one of the cities in the world that has a national park within the capital. So one of the lions there wandered and went into residential areas. That will make me not sleep at night if I was leaving those areas. And on the Standard newspaper, the main headline, Ruto triggers a storm with bottom-up plan, a strategy that focuses on grassroots people to grow the economy, which is being popularized by the DP draws reaction and splits a leader. So that is what we have. on the papers this morning, and we shall have a conversation shortly after I have introduced my panelists. And we'll start with Douglas Kirimi from Meru County. Douglas, a very good morning to you. We can't hear you. All right, as Douglas is working on his volume there, we are also joined by Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. Doctor, very good morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Miriam and my fellow panelists. It's quite a cold, chill morning. All the same, we are ready for the discussion. Thank you, Miriam.
All right, nice to have you, Doc. And Chivan Karanja also just joined. Douglas, a very good morning to you. Okay, as he's joining, Douglas, can you hear me? Good morning.
A very good morning.
That will be okay. As we apologize, a bit of a technical hitch there, but they're with us, and hopefully we'll not have. Yes, I can see Jevan is there. All right, so let's just start with the Standard newspaper. Ruto triggers a storm with bottom-up plan, and I don't know if you've been watching. What has been happening, especially on Twitter, over some sentiments that Tuju made a couple of days ago, and then there's a short clip that shows All right, we apologize. There's a short clip that shows Alice Wahome, MP for Kandara, she was really fumbling, trying to explain the meaning of the bottom-up, economy, and Kenyans have had a very good time making memes out of that. Dr. Nyanchama, now that has triggered a storm, and this bottom-up economy, people are really trying to understand it.
Oh, thank you, Miriam, and my fellow panelists. I think I watched the clip. I was very shocked. In fact, what came out is that herself, as one of the inner thinkers of that group, doesn't even understand what the philosophy or the model is all about. Miriam, if you watch, did you see her struggling to divine what bottom up means? In fact, she simply said bottom down. She even now confused everything. I think the supporters of the DP have been very shocked and embarrassed. Let me tell you, Miriam, as a Christian now, it reminds me what Jesus Christ warned the people. And he said, how can a blind man lead another blind man? If you are led by a blind man, both of you will fall in the ditch. Both. That's what the Bible says. Both. In fact, that one came out that if Kenyans blindly follow people who are articulating a model themselves don't understand, it's like following a blind man. And what is the final result? Fall in the ditch. Who will fall in the ditch? Both. The Kenyans who are following, those who don't understand the model because they are like blind men, and the one who's pretending to be understanding the model because he's blind. This is a very serious thing. I think Kenyans need to rethink. This is simply rhetoric narrative wants only to hype the emotions of Kenyans to achieve a certain one goal, a seat at the top. Nothing else, Miriam. Before I conclude, let me say what Confucius said. The real knowledge is to know the extent of your ignorance. This group needs to know the extent of their ignorance. They are totally ignorant about the model, and they need to rethink. Miriam, for now, I submit so that I leave for my fellow panelists to say something.
Okay, thank you. Now the story is on page 4, a strategy that focuses on grassroots people to grow their economy, which is being popularized by the DP. It draws reactions, splits leaders. Douglas, I'm sure you've watched that short clip of Alice Wahome trying to help us understand the bottom-up economy, and if at all you understood anything from my explanation.
Thank you, Miriam. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The problem that we are having today in the Tanga function of Deputy President William Ruto is that we have people that do not know where they want to go. The basic definition of a leader is someone that knows somewhere, and that person takes his people to that place. And in this case, William Ruto has not taken Alice Wahome and their members or their leaders or people who are propagating the politics of bottom-up economics. And at the end of the day, what we are having is an issue of they do not understand what they are saying to the people of Kenya. This is political nonsense that the people of Kenya should keep away from, because at the end of the day, if Alice Wahome, a trained lawyer, an advocate of the High Court, cannot be able to explain what is bottom-up approach to the economy of Kenya, it also means that William Ruto himself also does not know all, even after taking them to the Masai Mara, taking them to Mombasa, taking them to Dubai, all over, trying to train them on the new economic model that is coming to bring up to the people of Kenya.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we seem to have lost you there, Douglas. Mm-hmm.
It shows the people of Miriam what we are an issue of are people that have refused to accept reality, and this reality has come home now. And this reality is they do not know what they are doing, and this is a fraudulent approach to the voter in Kenya. At the end of the day, the people of Kenya can see with themselves, with their own eyes, that this is not going to work, and it has never worked before. This bottom-up approach, even William Ruto himself does not understand Miriam. If a lawyer like Alice Wahome, Gavoni wa Mushomba, a former presenter, a leader that has trained actually she has a bachelor's degree in commerce, but she cannot be able to explain basic economic models like bottom-up approach when asked. They do not have a clear definition of the same, and it is now. It has now come to our attention that William Ruto is an hybrid political conman, as much as his people are also conmen. People of Kenya should be able to distance themselves from this presidential ambition that is peddled by William Ruto, that is going to save the people of Kenya from an economy that he has been looting and destroying. Miriam, I submit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Jevan Kranja, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. If you're able to see that short clip of Alice Wahome trying to explain to us what bottom-up economy is in one of the leading TV stations here, I think was it yesterday or the other day, I'm not sure. I don't know what you make of that, and by any means did she help you understand what the bottom-up economy is all about?
Miriam, before I go to what Alice Wahome was saying, this bottom-up thing that the Deputy President has introduced is a phenomena that they are not familiar with. This is a monster that they don't know what it looks like, where it can get this country or where it can take this country in terms of development. They're just using it to whip emotions so that Kenyans might think there is something for them in the wishful Hasra government. Miriam, they came up with the Hasra narrative. They came up with the Wheelbarrownomics. And when you ask them to define what is wheelbarrow economics, they will not answer. I saw Kimani Ichung'wah struggling hard to explain what this bottom-up economy is. Bearing in mind, Kimani Ichung'wah is a very renowned accountant. He is an economist, and he cannot define what this bottom-up approach is. Alice Wahome, a lawyer and advocate of the High Court, cannot understand and explain to Kenyans what is this phenomena they call bottom-up approach that they're introducing to Kenya and what it means. Therefore, it's so unfortunate that we have leaders who don't have a clear roadmap, who don't have a clear plan on where they want to take this country in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years if they happen to form the government. But the information that is in public domain, and from some of the fragmented information that I have been able to gather, they are saying in the bottom-up approach, they'll be able to give or to add the NGCDF money from 100 million to 200 million. Therefore, in simple terms, what they are just trying to tell us, they'll add more money in the budget so that the mama boggers and the small-scale enterprises can be able to get some loans from that kitty. Miriam, if that is not a trickle-down economy, I don't understand what it is, because they are getting money from the higher office, then they are bringing it down to the small scale traders. The 100 million they are talking about, they are getting it from the higher the central government, and they are bringing it to small units of development, and that is at constituency level. Therefore, when you look at it, this is just a model that is similar to devolution, Miriam. And I have been saying this: the best approach for this country to move to the next level is bringing pesa mashinani, and that is through devolution, so that we can have everyone in this country enjoying development, so that we can have everyone in this country having equal opportunities in terms of trade, in terms of tenders to the government, and so on. Because when you have county governments, Miriam, people have been able to make money from these county governments. People have been able to have access to healthy facilities, to agricultural opportunities because of these county governments. I think the deputy president is just trying to run away from the truth. He's just trying to beat the bush. But what he is introducing to Kenyans is simply an empowered devolution. To me, that is what the information behind all this noise that they are making, because what they are talking about is bringing more money to the common mwananchi, and bringing more money to mwananchi, Miriam. It is the same scenario that the BBI was proposing, to add the budgetary allocation that devolves to our county units from 15% to at least a minimum of 35%. Therefore, at the end of it all, Miriam, we need leaders who care for the people of Kenya. And the most unfortunate thing, the guys who are bringing this bottom-up thing, they are in government. This is not opposition. There are people who are in government. There are people who can do what they are promising the people of Kenya. They can do it now, Miriam. I saw Moses Kuria, the Nyoro, promising our artists that they will better their life when they form the next government. But Alice Gladys Wanga, through the ODM party, has been able to table a motion that have exempted our musicians from being taxed from the skiza tunes that the skiza tunes, the money they make from the skiza tunes. Therefore, this shows that the parliamentarians that we have, they can better the livelihoods of the hustlers. They can bring legislations that will protect hustlers while they're still in office. Because in 2022, we don't know whether they will be re-elected. We don't know whether they will form the wishful hustler government. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And we are also joined by Samuel Tawish. Samuel Tawish, good morning, if you can hear me. Okay. Well, Samuel there is joining. I think his audio is just linking up. But let's just dwell on this story, because I think it's Kenyans are talking about it. So let's just have a bit of some time on it. So ANC party leader, I'm reading from page 4 of the Standard newspaper, ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi described a bottom-up approach as drinking everything to the bottom of a bottle and leaving nothing for the public. In some instances, it has appeared like just another catchy political slogan whose definition and specifics have eluded the minds of its ardent champions like Alice Wahome, the MP for Kandara constituency. Despite the jokes, it appears that the bottom-up approach is turning into the wedge dividing the political class going into the 2022 elections. The fact that I think a lot of people might not, Kenyans do not understand this kind of an economic model, including some of the proponents of it and supporters of a deputy president. Have they, in your opinion, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, left room for all this vagueness that, as much as Kenyans are making joke of whatever became of that interview of Alice Wahome and what Tuju said over the weekend, but is it because not over the weekend, Monday, I think Monday or Tuesday there, because Kenyans, a lot of Kenyans really don't understand what this economic model is all about?
Thank you, Miriam. Let me be frank here. Miriam, themselves, as Chafan Karanja said, they do not understand those who are advancing the model. They themselves don't understand. Let me tell you, Miriam, maybe I use the example of Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. The people, when he came up with the model, he built a multimedia corridor to assist people of low incomes, but it was bottom down because it was a knowledge-based economy. You get it? You see, if Miriam, you are very knowledgeable, even if you don't have money, if your model is knowledge-based, it is not now money-based, it is top-down. Because you have enough knowledge, you are highly knowledgeable. That is why we call it top-down model. Them, you know, because they don't understand, they are mixing. The fact that Miriam, that I am poor, it doesn't know that, it doesn't mean that the model you use must be bottom up. I am a talented person. So if the model, you want to develop the economy on the basis of knowledge, it is top-down model. But then because they are confused, by the way, they don't understand. In short, Miriam, this was just purely a political gimmick to hoodwink Kenyans. Me, I am appealing to the Kenyans not to allow to be called a hustler nation. In fact, these people should be taken to court for trying to misguide the minds of the people to change from a prosperity nation to a hustler nation. That is very offensive. Words, Miriam, have life as a Christian. That is why I can never name my children as Barabbas. You check across the country, as any person named children of the Barabbas, who the thief who was nailed with Jesus Christ. Why? Because words have life. If you use bad words, your children will go in the bad way. That is why, first of all, we need to stop these characters from providing our prosperity nation as a hustler nation. That is very offensive in the first place. That is why you see leaders are not happy, Miriam, in general, with this narrative. That is why they are using very comical words to demean it, because it is offensive in the first place, Miriam. That is why you see every leader is commenting on it. They are not happy with it. I submit, Miriam.
All right, thank you. Samuel Tawish, good morning, if you can hear me.
Good morning, Miriam. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, and we're looking at the Standard newspaper, and Ruto triggers a storm with bottom-up plan. And I don't know if you've come across that a short clip of Kandara Member of Parliament, Alice Wahome, trying to explain a bottom-up economy. And were you able to get, a proper explanation or understand what you're saying? Tawish? All right. Tawish seems to be having some connection problems there, so I think I'll just move on. All right, very well. So its critics have noted that the proponents have largely been superficial and have not offered the public any concrete plans on how they intend to implement it. That is according to the Standard newspaper. What do you make of that, Jeevan?
Thank you very much, Miriam, for this topic that we are discussing today. And I agree with the statements made by Dr. Joseph Nyanchama that we need a model really that will take this country to the next level. We can't be struggling to take this country to a prosperous nation or to the prosperous path. And we have guys who are pushing us toward a struggling, a suffering country in the name of hustlerism. But Miriam, this bottom-up issue and the bottom-up approach that the Deputy President and his people are introducing, Miriam, the reason why it is getting a lot of criticism and the reason why it is trending on Twitter and the social media platforms is because they really don't, from their own perspective, from their own, where this approach originated, the people who have come up with this idea, they don't understand what it is. And we are wondering as Kenyans, if the guys who are the originators, if the guys who are the author of this approach. They don't understand what it is. How will us ordinary Kenyans, how the ordinary Mama Boga and the Boda Boda guys understand what is this phenomena that is being introduced to them by the deputy president? I think that is why Kenyans are finding it's funny from all corners of life, because the way Alice Ohome was explaining, the way Gathoni wa Muchomba was saying, Alice Ohome is saying, this is an approach that goes from bottom toward the bottom most something. No, it's going from bottom towards the bottom. They have these guys from their own approach. They want to take this country from where we are to the root of rock bottom, where we will be stricken by the hardships, where economy will be struggling, because to them, they want us to remain at the bottom. Everything they bring, they must bring us towards the bottom. They are not bringing us towards the top or towards a prosperous path. They are just promising us a path towards the bottom, a path towards struggling, a path towards suffering and hardships. Therefore, at the end of the day, as Kenyans, we need to open our eyes. We need to understand and to look at leaders who are giving us tangible solutions, tangible ideologies. And Miriam, and I have said this when I was making my first contribution, these people are still in government. Why can't they bring this approach? Why can't they share with President Uhuru Kenyatta this model that they feel it's the most prosperous model of economic that can take this country to the next level with President Uhuru Kenyatta, so that we can try implementing it now for the remaining tenure of office and see how it takes shape? Because maybe it is a very wonderful approach. It is only that they are not able to explain to Kenyans what it is. Maybe they can share with the government of the day. And them being the government of the day, they need to start implementing these things. Because for the last years, and I have said this, for the last years, the deputy president has been crisscrossing the country, promising Kenyans paradise, promising Kenyans a heaven, promising Kenyans a haven of peace if he happens to become the president in 2022. But for the last 4 years, if we ask the ordinary citizens, if we ask the Mama Bogas and the Boda Boda guys that he pretends to be close to his heart, what have they benefited with from all this noise and hype and political hype that has been going around for the last 4 years? There is nothing tangible that has benefited the guys called the hustlers from all for the last 4 years. If for the last 4 years, the deputy president have not changed, have not transformed the livelihoods of the so-called hustlers, what gives us hope? What shows that if he happens to become the president, he'll do marvelous things? What shows that he can only do greater things when he only becomes the president? When, as a deputy president, he has failed to implement, he has failed to uplift, he has failed to transform the livelihoods of the people he purport to present every day in and out. Therefore, Kenyans should open their eyes, and I'm very happy that Kenyans have came up in large numbers to criticize and to ask questions and to seek understanding of what this approach is. And Miriam, I can say this bottom-up approach is dying a natural death because the way it has been attacked, they cannot explain what it is. Kenyans have opened their eyes. And that is the space that we need, meaning that we can use the social media for a positive side to do or to bring change, to ask for some kind of question from these leaders who are aspiring to lead. Or everyone who comes, let Kenyans ask them hard questions so that we can understand the kind of leaders that we are positioning ourselves to take to state house or to take to positions of leadership. I submit.
Thank you. Douglas Kirimi, critics have noted that the proponents have largely been superficial and have not offered the public any concrete plans on how they intend to implement it. So from the reaction we've been seeing from Kenyans, so on the side of the DP, Root and UDA party, maybe could they take the challenge and try now to explain better to Kenyans what this bottom-up economic approach is all about?
Miriam, I have a very huge problem with the way William Ruto does his politics, because Miriam, we are having a man that does not want to take responsibility, political responsibility for his own manifesto and to explain his huge manifesto to the people of Kenya, huge or lack of it thereof, to the people of Kenya in a way that I can be able to convince my grandmother, I can be able to convince my mother, and be able to convince my mother who does not understand Swahili or English of William Rutos of this world. But the problem is, they take advantage of every slogan in town and they take that sloganeering to the people. And it is the same thing that happened when the president called Deputy President a Tangatanga, a person who is moving around from one place to another. They took advantage of that and it became Tangatanga function. They took advantage of the wheelbarrow issue, and now wheelbarrow sloganeering is being sold to the people of Kenya as the solution to the economic upheavals that have beridden our own country, and also that have also fallen into the fortunes of the people of Kenya. Now, after the wheelbarrow issue, they have brought now the bottom-up economic approach. William Ruto, a man that has studied zoology and botany, a man that cannot explain anything economic without going out of his way to root the public funds and public coffers, is here now today with another sloganeering period of bottom-up approach that he himself cannot explain in a language that the people of Kenya can be able to understand. A man that moved from analog to digital in 2013 when he told the people of Kenya they are going to create jobs for the young people because we are moving to the information age where people are going to get jobs from homes and all that. At this point, the prophecy of William Ruto has reached its crescendo, it's on a climax. It has been able to come true. We are in the information age. We can work from wherever we are. Jevan Karanja is in Nanyuki. Professor Onyari and also Nyanchama in Nairobi, Dr. Nyanchama in Nairobi and others. But at the end of the day, they are working from home because of this digital era that William Ruto spoke about in 2013. But in 2021, William Ruto is coming up with wheelbarrows and also the bottom-up approach, sloganeering that he can be able to continue propagating to the people of Kenya that he cannot explain in a language that the people can be able to understand. No matter how huge his manifesto is, let William Ruto train his retinants, let William Ruto train the people that support him, such that when they explain the same in Kimeru, in Kikuyu, in Kisi language, in Nyanza, in the Ruo language, people can be able to understand and people can be able to decipher what William Ruto wants to do with this bottom-up approach. When William Ruto tells us it has been top to bottom and now he wants to take it from bottom to up, he needs to be able to explain that to a layman. He needs to explain that to a Rokoman, a Mwananchi, a person in a Nichamas. He needs to explain that to a Meru. Needs to explain that to a Kikuyu in a language they understand. Instead of taking advantage of sloganeering, William Ruto took advantage of wheelbarrows that he did not invent as a political strategy and took advantage of it and rode through it. But now we are having a huge problem here, Miriam. When William Ruto rides on these waves of these small slogans that come across, and now he continues the sloganeering across the country, he cannot be able to build something there, despite having a lot of monies and also having a lot of experience as a politician. He cannot be able to take advantage of that and explain to the people the same things in a language they understand. When the Constitution of Kenya 2010 was being pushed around and people were taxed by the President of the Republic of Kenya, then President Moi Kibaki, and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the then Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, to go and speak to their people, the President's team, who is the current President, President Uhuru Kenyatta, together with Justin Bidan Njoka Muturi, the current Speaker of the National Assembly, had to go and look for Mwangi Kiunjuri, who is good in Kikuyu proverbs and Rindos, so that they can speak to their people in a language that they can understand. And Mwangi Kiunjuri became the de facto leader of that group so that they can be able to continue the Rindos and the proverbs and they speak to their people in a language they understand. Today, Mwangi Kiunjuri is in the camp of William Ruto, but we have not seen the Rindos man and the man of proverbs take the same economic model, which is a bottom-up approach. He has not taken it in Kikuyu language, in proverbs and the Rindos to explain to their people how they are going to benefit from the same and why the other approach that William Ruto calls evil now is not working, that has worked for him to become a billionaire. He doesn't want us to become billionaires. He wants to give us wheelbarrows in an era where we're in a digital age, we're in an information age. We cannot be able to push wheelbarrows in this country. That slogan and sloganeering died. Now he has brought up the economic model of bottom-up approach that he cannot be able to explain to his people, his retinuants, people that are defending William Ruto. Miriam. At the end of the day, we need to depart from politicians that just come up with slogans and get into a sloganeering period. And when that period is over, we are just left with nothing but a shell of promises that William Ruto has perfected the art of the same. Miriam, I was watching, as I conclude on my point, I was watching a video that William Ruto made in 2017. He said the stadium in West Pokot, in Cameroon, in West Pokot, which is historic, will be complete in 6 months. Many years later, Miriam, 4, 5, 6 years later, the stadium in West Pokot, in Cameroon, West Pokot, which is historic according to William Ruto, is not complete. Something that government needs action. William Ruto should first fulfill promises that he has made as a deputy president together with the Jubilee government, because he has even launched a lot of fake projects across the nation. Instead of tarnishing the name of Jubilee Party with new sloganeering periods of rise and falsehoods and economic conmanship, he needs to come clean and tell the people of Kenya, I have failed as a deputy president, I have vacated the duty, I have repented, and I've gone to look for something else to do, Miriam. It's not a must for William Ruto to campaign and become president. It's not a must for him to be in politics, Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if Samuel Tawish you've been able to join, and if you can hear me. Good morning. All right, so we lost Samuel Tawish. He had a bit of a problem with his connection there. So there's another story. We shall just switch gears on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. The contest for a parliamentary seat could gain more intensity if a proposed piece of legislation at the National Assembly seeking to bring back cabinet secretaries to the bicameral house becomes a law. The Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2020, has endorsed to have the president appoint his cabinet from Parliament. The bill is sponsored by the Ndaragwa Member of Parliament, Jeremiah Kioni-led Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee, and is presently set for public participation. According to the bill, cabinet ministers will be drawn from Parliament, as opposed to the current situation where they are technocrats and loyalties of the president. The same will apply at the county level, where governors will appoint MCAs to their cabinet. The Attorney General will also sit in Parliament as an ex-officio member with assigned function. The latest move will make member of the National Assembly and Senate seats more lucrative in next year's elections. The proposal is among those contained on the Building Bridges Initiative Constitutional Amendment push, currently pending at the Court of Appeal, whose determination is slated for August 20. Is this BBI coming through the back door, Doctor?
I thank you, Miriam. I don't know whether it's the same bill. I saw the member of Parliament for West Mugirango had taken to Parliament was it in 2019? I cannot know whether it is the same bill that was rejuvenated. Mm-hmm. Miriam, you know, that is in itself a vindication to BBI proponents, because that is one of the suggestions in the BBI, by the way, meaning that the BBI, the opponents themselves, are very unrealistic and not really becoming truthful to it. It has a lot of things, Miriam. That is why we have always said, if you look at it, Miriam, both the proponents and the opponents are crossing ranks. If they can cross ranks on an issue which was dominant in BBI, it means simply that the BBI is a good thing and the court needs to rule in on it. We implement many more things instead of going piecemeal. You know what that one says, Miriam? That the BBI should not wait for a second. It should be left to run the full hog. It's brought to the referendum, passed, so that Kenyans can benefit from more aspects of it. Miriam, for me, the way I look at it is it's an acknowledgement that BBI is a good thing and we should focus on it. And if the opponents continue to oppose, you know what's going to happen, Miriam, and that's what I see. The proponents will bring that one, and now they tell people, you can imagine, this is what, and many more things we wanted to happen. Especially if they convince the people that MCA now will sit in the cabinet. And these are things you are opposing. So for me, the way I look at it is that it needs to be used to tell the people you are throwing away something which is going to benefit you immensely. And I don't know, I've not read deeply on that story, Miriam, I can't lie. But what I will say is that I remember sometimes back there was a member of parliament who had brought a bill about it. Mm-hmm. But I think it is going to give life and energy to the benefits contained in the BBI document. I submit, Miriam.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph Nyachama. Now, Kioni's bill offers a lifeline for key proposal of the BBI bill, which aims to bring back a government to a parliament. I think we've had that model before the coming of the new constitution in 2010, and when cabinet ministers then were being appointed from within the members of parliament. So it was a bit easier, even when it comes to have them having to speak on the different dockets they hold, because they were always in parliament. But with the new constitution, things, I think, changed. So I don't know, is it a good thing? Should this bill go back and allow us to go back to that model we used to have, Jevan Karanja, comparing to what we have right now? Is it a good thing?
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. And I agree with the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni of Daragwa that we need that kind of a legislation because I know and I have seen the members of parliament complain not once nor twice that it is hard to reach these cabinet secretaries, especially when they need to be summoned in the parliament to explain what they are doing or what has been going wrong in their dockets. It is very hard to reach them because most of them are hiding in their offices, and it's because of the protocol and everything that is needed to reach them. You find it difficult to get them. And Miriam, some of them are so arrogant because they say, I'm appointed by the president and I will come when I feel like. Therefore, you see that kind of push and pull leaves the members of parliament being really struggling to execute their oversight duties, and that is to ensure that the executive runs in the right direction, especially on oversight over these cabinet secretaries. Therefore, it's a very good thing. And Miriam, when you are a member of parliament, you have a mandate from the people, and you also have this mandate as CS. Miriam, I see we will reduce the cost of maintaining these cabinet secretaries because now they'll have just to be added some smaller allowances for the additional duties of being a CS, rather than having new people, 22 of them, coming from outside the parliament, having to pay them, having to give them all is needed for the survival and so on. But when you're a member of parliament, Miriam, you already have your car, you already have your security. There's nothing more that you need. You just need some few allowances here and there. I think that in terms of cost, it is effective and it is manageable because we reduce the cost that we use for these members, the cabinet secretary. But all said and done, I think it will not be a good idea to have all the cabinet secretary come from the parliament. We need to have a mixture of the technocrats and professionals from outside who have an outside perspective, who have an experience from the corporate world, so that we can have a mixture of ideas in the executive. And that will be a very good thing so that we can have an all diverse, an all ended kind of a cabinet secretary that will be able to deliver on their mandate. Therefore, on that, I support the MP Daragwa. He has a very good point, but also it and done because this was the same issues that the BBI was proposing. I think if we can have a way of reviving the BBI. We can have a way of rejuvenating the spirit of the BBI without really going for the referendum. As we wait for the court determination, Miriam, it will be a good idea because the BBI has some very good proposals that will take this country to the next level, and it will be a mess. It will be a loss if we throw the whole document away without really considering some of the beneficial aspects that can be passed through the parliamentary way. Therefore, I think this is one step towards reviving the BBI bill. I submit.
Okay, thank you. And Jevan, you brought in a very unique aspect that perhaps I personally had never thought about, that we can have our cake and eat it. We can still have cabinet secretaries from Parliament and also bring some others from outside of Parliament. Douglas, can this really work?
Thank you, Miriam. What we need to do is we need to save costs by all means, because everyone is complaining about the huge taxes and also the huge salaries that we pay cabinet secretaries and all that. We need to be able to save by having CECs in counties as the members of county assembly and also National Assembly and Senate. You can have a senator who is Minister for Health or Minister for Interior. That way, we can also have people that have been elected by the people by vote, so that they cannot sabotage the agenda of the man who they have been elected both as president and as a member of parliament or senate. Because, Miriam, most of these technocrats who come into office and members of parliament, senators and governors have complained that these people do not understand the pain of being in office and you cannot be able to fulfill your agenda, yet your ministry has been allocated money to serve the people of Kenya. Every ministry in this country is not a profit-making entity. It is an industry and a service to the people of Kenya. But Miriam, when we have these people come out there and campaign and get their own votes, they would want to secure their legacy also by building under the ministries that they have been given. They would want to leave a mark. They would want to perform. Performance would be amplified, Miriam, I think, by over 50%, because most of these cabinet secretaries, they are cabinet secretaries after they were appointed by the president. I have never had them. I have never seen them. I was shocked to see that the Minister for Lands, though she has been working behind the scenes and all that, I was shocked to see the Minister for Lands, Farida Karone, do a first interview on Jeff Koinange Live for the first time after she was appointed, I think, in 2018. These are things that we should correct, Miriam. We should have ministers that are involved with the people, that can go out there to the people, that can go to the field and see what the Ministry of Water is doing. They should be in Wajil, they should be in another county to see that the real suffering of the people of Kenya is that they need clean drinking water and they need water to farm. They need water to irrigate their farms and they need water to be able to sustain their lives, because water is life. We also need to see Minister for Interior, not a technocrat. A Minister for Interior has been voted by the people of Kenya. When people crash in those intercrans crashes and all that, he feels the pain of the people directly because he's a man or a woman that has been elected by the people. If an MCA today is elected to the county assembly of Meru or any other county assembly in this country and is appointed as a member of county executive CEC as for health or finance, they should be able to be more accountable, allocate monies to projects that are a priority to the people and that are holistic in changing the lives of the people. So Miriam, I applaud that move. It will save a lot of monies. An MP is paid around 600,000 to 1 million. A member of a county executive committee in the county assembly is paid the same salary of an MCA, and that's two roles. We have one member as a member representing their areas, but also as a member of the county executive committee, and also for National Assembly and Senate, we have members who have been elected there, but they're also serving as ministers or cabinet secretaries. At the end of the day, Miriam, we will be saving taxpayers' money in salaries and allowances for these people, because we pay allowances even to the members of parliament. The same now, we cannot be able to duplicate those allowances as a member of county executive or cabinet secretaries. So they will be able to work for the people of Kenya, service and industry to the people of Kenya, Whether you are an MCA or an MP, you're going to work as a minister in both cases, county and national government. And also, you are going to work with a lot of vigor because you are also having, you are going to have your own agenda, your own legacy to be able to secure. You're going to secure the legacy of, in quote, the big man, the president, who you have been elected together to serve the people of Kenya. Because I've seen so many ministers who have been accused, even in select committees of a National Assembly or county assemblies, being accused of sabotaging the agenda and the legacy projects of various county governors and also the President of the Republic of Kenya, Miriam. I submit.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, on the Star newspaper, our time is quickly winding. Central at crossroads as divisions widen. I think you've looked at this story too many times. I'll just leave that there. And then Kalonzo and Raila in fresh secret talks after NASA divorce. Really? I think I'll just leave that there as well, but I know we could have a lot to say on that. But there's the story that has caught my eye on page 6 of the Star newspaper. Kenyan troops will not leave Somalia anytime soon. A Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibochi has said in an interview with KBC. Kibochi said Somalia is unstable and their security forces still need support from the African mission to Somalia. General Kibochi, the highest-ranking soldier, said Kenya is actively engaging stakeholders, including the United Nations, to intervene and stop the Ethiopian civil war. The general said that the civil war in Ethiopia poses a major security threat to Kenya. Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, because the last I read, AMISOM was getting ready to wrap up its mission in Somalia by the end of this year. But according to the prevailing circumstances right now, that might mean not be a very good move if we were to look at our own security in our borders there.
Absolutely. You see, the issue in the region regarding security is a worrying trend in this country. You know, Miriam, even when you are sleeping in your house, when you know you are secure, you sleep soundly. Whether you are a business person, whether you don't have anything, security is key. And I think this issue of Eritrea and in Ethiopia and everything. You know, I was reading some international magazine how 4-point-something million people are exposed both to hunger, security, water, and everything. I think the regional leaders, for me, Miriam, in short, they need to rethink and see how to secure the buffer places within the region. And we want to appeal also to the president that the first core business is to protect the people. If there is any threat from outside, we should be involved proactively to protect the security of our people. And whatever the military chief is doing, he should do that which should put the security interests of our country at the forefront. For me, Miriam, that is all I will say. Whatever effort that is put forth should be that one that should protect the territorial integrity of our country. And I think we need to appeal to all African leaders to come together and think these issues. Miriam, can you imagine that Ethiopia is the head office of AU is domiciled in Ethiopia? How can AU sit down and silent even where it is domiciled? The same country is in security threat. I thought it should move that with a thunder speed to ensure that things are brought to order. Miriam, I think our leaders need to rethink and put the security at the centerpiece of the African agenda if it has to experience any growth. I submit, Miriam.
Very well said, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. Now, on AMISOM, Kibochi said they are pushing for mandate and funding changes to enable the organization to achieve its goals. We cannot be in Somalia forever, just like the USA, which has left Afghanistan after a long war with militants. We will also leave when our objective is achieved. And the US, watching President, I think we had this conversation here a couple of days ago, and President Biden said that they had achieved their objectives in Afghanistan and that, advised their move to leave the country. 20 years, that is how long that war had, US trying to fight Taliban and all that. But we all know that, they're not successful in that regard. So with General Kibochi saying that, they have to achieve their goal, and that was to pacify Somalia and help Somalia's government fight the Al-Shabaab. And there has been credible reports that even suggest some top government officials are even working in cahoots with, Al-Shabaab to defeat the efforts of KDF and other AMISOM, troops that are there to help the same government. Will these objectives ever be achieved? Everything withstanding, Douglas Kirimi.
Thank you, Miriam. I hope that these objectives are going to be achieved very fast so that they can be able to pacify Somalia and leave it in the safe hands of their national defense forces and also national police service, so that they can be able to grow their country and also take their country to the next level. But Miriam, we are having a problem just the same way we are having a problem in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, instead of the current government coming out clearly and empowering their national army or national defense forces to be able to take critical control of their own country, we still have areas regions that are controlled by the Taliban. We still have a Taliban that is resilient and a Taliban that wants to come back and strike, a Taliban that is hiding in the hills, and a Taliban that is going to come back and cause more havoc in the future. But now, even in Somalia, instead of Farmajo, the government of Abdullah Farmajo is more concerned about postponing elections instead of asking these countries that are helping Somalia under the scourge of terrorism and extremists that have invaded Somalia, including the Al-Shabaab and other small groups, the extremistic groups, instead of them training a powerful national defense forces or internal structures that are very, 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 very equipped and have capacity to be able to pacify their own country and be able to do a total takeover of their own country, they continue with other mediocre issues and also other things that are not a priority, especially postponing elections. There will be another Farmajo, there will be another president, there will be another president until to infinity. If we continue turning under this world, even after in Kenya, we shall have another president and another president. But what we are having is a huge problem in Somalia. Today, AMISOM is doing all the best, KDF is doing all the best. The CDF for our own national defense forces has told us they are not ready to leave Somalia, but they will leave one day. But what I'm deducing from his statement is saying Somalia is not ready to be left alone. Because in terms of logistics, in terms of their capacity, their national defense forces, their capacity as a nation, as a country, it is not viable for this country to be left alone. Because Miriam, when you look at it, when you leave Al-Shabaab, a resilient Al-Shabaab and other extremistic groups that continue posing a threat, and also a divided national defense forces, because they are forces that are pro-opposition and there are forces that are pro-government in Mogadishu today, Miriam. When you look at it, even the regional government in Somalia, Somaliland, Puntland, and also the federal government of Somalia. They are different functions, and they are not agreeing on the way that they shall go as a country, as a national defense force, on the way they shall be able to take over their country, pacify the peace, and they leave the people of that country even to come back to their country. Over 400,000 refugees in our republic should go back to their country and build their country. What I'm trying to deduce from the CDF sentiment is that they are going to pacify Somalia, yes, but under cooperation of the regional governments in Somalia, and also a different prayers, so that they can come together and be able to do that. Because even in Afghanistan, Miriam, US has left Afghanistan, but we are going to have problems in the coming future. Somalia, if left alone today, they are, in as much as AMISOM and also the Kenya Defense Forces do their bit, they are going to have huge problems if they don't come together and deal with those problems that continue bedeviling the pacification of peace process in Somalia for a very long time. But at the end of the day, Miriam, I'm hoping and I'm praying that the KDF and AMISOM come together, bring the government of Somalia, regional players and regional governments in Somalia, and release that country under a full pacification of peace process program that is going, the aftercare that is going to take care of that country, even after our own national defense forces and AMISOM leave Somalia. I submit.
Jevan Karanja, I know I asked this question last time we were having this conversation when it was announced that the U.S. is leaving Afghanistan and they will beat that deadline. That is the end of August. And I posed the question, can Kenya and indeed the AMISOM troops learn something from U.S. involvement in the war in Afghanistan and the exit of the U.S. from Afghanistan itself?
Thank you very much, Miriam. This conversation of the AMISOM and unification, pacification of the Somali, I think is something that is so close to our hearts as a country because these are our neighbors and we have our KDF soldiers in the country trying to bring order, trying to bring sanity and to ensure that the lives of the innocent Somalis are protected from this notorious group called the Al-Shabaab because they have wreaked havoc across the region and we are not safe because we have also been victims. We have also suffered from the attacks in Garissa, in other places in this country, and they have also attacked many travelers who are heading the route of Wajir, Mandera, and Marsabit, and therefore we have a reason to be there. Therefore, we need also to ensure that we protect the interest and we put the interest of our country first. And we should not learn a lot from what the US did because they went to Afghanistan and they didn't achieve the intended goal, but they withdrawn halfway. Therefore, it's up to the Kenyan government to understand if we happen to withdraw, if we happen to have an exit strategy right away or without following the due procedural requirements, we might be staring at a very bad situation where we might start experiencing the attacks from these Al-Shabaab. Therefore, we should have our own way of doing things without really copying or learning from what the US did because they didn't achieve much. Therefore, it's upon the Kenyan government to ensure that the intended mandate of our KDF, the intended the futuristic, the future plans that they had when we were sending our troops in Somali are achieved before we withdraw our troops, so that when we withdraw them, we can sit pretty, we can sit in at peace with ourselves and with our neighbors, knowing that nobody is at risk of these attacks. I think that is what we should do. We should not try to have or to manipulate our system because we are seeing others doing so. We need to have our own unique way to safeguard our people, because for America, their interest comes first. The American interests are priority number one. Therefore, as a country, we need also to make sure that the interests of our people, especially those who are within the borders with Somali, our interest number one. We need to protect them because all Kenyans have a right to be protected from these attacks. They have a right to have a safe country, and they have a right to be given security. All of us as a country. Therefore, nobody should be left out. Therefore, I feel there's a reason to have these troops continue with the good work they are doing in Somali, so that we can achieve the mandate. Therefore, on that extent, and I agree with what the commanders of the army said yesterday.
General Kibochi.
General Kivochi, that even if it's about we will leave, because at the end of the day we will leave Somali. Let's do it in a human way. Let's do it in a procedural way. Let's do it so that we'll not have other casualties in the process of us exiting from Somalia. I think that is my take, and I submit at that juncture.
All right, thank you so much. And that is where we end our conversation this morning. Thank you, Jevan Karanja, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, and Douglas Kirime. Samuel Tawish tried to join but had a bit of a problem with his connection. This has been Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu. We shall be back at 11 a.m. where Dr. Matsanga shall be leading the conversation on Editor's Memo. Thank you so much for watching. Good morning.